You know the feeling. The sirens have stopped. The cities have crumbled. The world is no longer fighting the outbreak. It's surviving it. But yet another zombie survivors flips that on its rotting head. This isn't about desperate scavenging or making Molotovs out of soda bottles. This is about domination. This is about turning your squad into a walking apocalypse and letting the undead know they picked the wrong planet. Right from the title, the game wears its self-awareness on its sleeve. Yes, it's another zombie survival game, but it's also the one that understands exactly what makes these games so addictive. No hour-long tutorials, no bloated skill trees or cinematic fluff. You load in, your character starts mowing down hordes automatically, and within seconds, the screen starts filling up with chaos. It's intuitive, it's fast, and most importantly, it's fun. The kind of fun that hits you with a dopamine rush within minutes and refuses to let go. At its core, Yet Another Zombie Survivors is a love letter to the survivor-like genre, but it brings its own spin: squad-based combat. Instead of playing as a lone hero, you can assemble a squad of unique, upgradable characters. From hardened SWAT officers to flamethrower-wielding maniacs and sword-swinging assassins. The more you unlock, the more chaotic your team becomes. One run, you're focused on gunfire and suppressive damage. The next, you're slicing through the crowd with the katana while napalm explodes in the distance. It's all about crafting your version of the apocalypse. And here's the real hook: it never feels overwhelming. The characters auto-attack. You move, dodge, and make decisions on how your squad grows during the run. Perks are streamlined but impactful, letting you lean into specific builds. Maybe you want more AoE damage, more healing, or tighter synergy between your squad mates. There's enough depth to keep you experimenting, but not so much that it slows down the momentum. Progression-wise, it nails the formula. Each run feeds into permanent upgrades. You earn currency to unlock new characters, enhance skills, and forge stronger builds. There's a real sense of long-term progression without grinding for the sake of grinding. And if you ever feel boxed in by your build choices, reset and try again. You're encouraged to play your way, whether that's min-maxing or just throwing every explosive you find into the mix and seeing what survives. But what makes the game even more satisfying is the prestige system. Crank up the virus strength, and the zombies get faster, more aggressive, and absolutely relentless. It's a beautiful way of scaling difficulty that rewards skill and build mastery. If you want to prove you're not just lucky, but lethal, this is how you do it. And when you finally ascend after surviving an onslaught, it's genuinely rewarding. You feel like you earned it. Visually, Yet Another Zombie Survivors is clean, punchy, and to the point. The character models are distinct, the effects are satisfying, and the UI stays out of your way. You're never fighting the interface, just the literal undead. The game doesn't pretend to be something it's not. It embraces its arcade action soul and polishes that experience until it gleams. And while it's built for quick, repeatable sessions, it still manages to feel epic. By the 10-minute mark in most runs, your screen is a fireworks display of gunfire, explosions, and dozens, if not hundreds, of enemies trying to take you down. But you're not panicking. You're smiling. You're adjusting, upgrading, and surviving. That's the loop, and it works incredibly well. It's also worth noting the vibe from the dev team. This isn't some massive studio trying to cash in on a trend. Yet Another Zombie Survivors is being developed by a small team of friends who genuinely love the genre. And you can feel that in every design choice. They're active with the community, they're clearly passionate, and they've built something that doesn't just ride the wave of games like Vampire Survivors. It carves out a space of its own. And for those who enjoy theory crafting or replayability, you're in for a treat. The game is rich with build options, team synergies, and ever-increasing difficulty tiers. Whether you're a casual player looking for a short session after work, or a hardcore grinder trying to push prestige levels, there's a path here that fits. So, is Yet Another Zombie Survivors just another survivor-like? No, it's a bold remix of the formula, stripping away the noise and doubling down on the action. It's squad-based, it's scalable, it's satisfying, and most importantly, it respects your time. In a sea of bloated zombie games, this one keeps it simple. And that simplicity is its superpower. Drop in, blow up some zombies, upgrade your squad, and when you're ready, turn the heat up and show the undead who really owns the night. If you haven't already, it's worth adding to your wishlist.